This is Josiah Plays Torment, Tides of Numenera. We're speaking with Inkpot, who seems to be a total fucking wingnut. Wingnut is a term we used to use on the street in San Francisco when I was there with the squatters. The hippie kids and well, they weren't all kids, just the hippies and the gutter punks who were mostly kids. When I spent 6 months living with those guys, we would call people a wingnut if they were crazy. You know, if you see the person walking around and they're like gibbering nonsense to themselves loudly as they walk, that's the kind of person, you know. Oh, it's a wingnut. It wasn't really a what's the word I'm looking for? It wasn't really a pejorative term. It was said more almost affectionately, like, you know, it wasn't like, oh, that person's crazy, we should treat them badly, or we should fuck with them, or we should discount them. It wasn't like that at all. It was just more like, hey, we're amused by the fact that they're a wingnut, and if anything, we would be more inclined to help them out than anything else. So anyway, Inkpot, kind of a wingnut. You gibber nonsense to yourself, but you do it quietly. That's good. That's good. You use K over here a lot instead of C, but please continue. Continue with a K. Okay. Okay. See what I did there? Yeah. Oh God, do I even want to... What are those papers on your robes?
Scriptures of the great devourer. They are ever-changing, in imitation of the bloom. You see?
He tears one of the scribbled papers from his robe, crumples it up, and tosses it over the side of the platform.
Those words are gone, forgotten, but new ones can be added as we like.
So you can just make up whatever you want at any given time and call it scripture. That's convenient. Why is he spit? He takes a scrawled paper from the little writing desk that is strapped to his body, spits a wad of yellow phlegm onto its back, and sticks it to his robe.
Now these words are part of the canon.
Alright, no. This is gross. Why would you... I mean, you want it to stick, so you... I don't... Oh God, isn't there something else you could use? Stick it to your robe? Why is your phlegm yellow? Alright, what are those papers again? The holy canon of your faith.
Only a part. Everything written by an extremity is part of the scriptures, until the writing is lost or destroyed. No one can know all the writings, just as no one can know every part of the ever-changing bloom.
Can you tell me about your beliefs? Please don't. Please no.
I will not speak of beliefs, he frowns, but I will tell you what is true. First, that the bloom is a god, the only true god, and all that takes place within its body is solid and real. That which exists outside the bloom is an illusion, a cruel trick, a falsehood. Second, he intones, that our goal is to become one with the bloom, to transform ourselves into living embodiments of its will, and one day to be called to its heart.
You want to be called to the bloom's heart? What does that mean? Pretty much means eaten. His eyes glisten.
When it wants us, the bloom will open a maw at our feet, or reveal a tunnel where one hadn't been before. The passage will close behind us, and we will never be seen again by human eyes, but we'll follow its turnings to the heart, and be one with the devourer at last, and pray to no one ever again.
Okay. You realize that means the bloom's just eating you and you die, right? Tell me again about the bloom's heart. Could you be slightly more crazy this time? Well, if we're gonna be honest, if he's gonna use any bodily fluids to paste things to himself, I'd rather it be phlegm. Okay, you've got a good point there. It could be worse.
When we have pleased the bloom enough, it will swallow us. We'll follow its turnings to the heart and be one with the devourer at last.
Okay. How do you plan to become one with the bloom?
We clothe ourselves in its flesh, feast on its bile and viscera.
Okay, that's nasty. Maybe that's why his phlegm is yellow. You've got to pray just to make it today. That's why we pray. You could make a great video if you had, like, you know, a bunch of carnivorous animals, like, hunting prey, you know, like lions taking down gazelles or fucking raptors grabbing small rodents or whatever they do, and fucking, you know, basically just show animals preying on other animals. And to that song, you got to pray just to make it today. Oh, that'd be good. Good. I won't be making any such video, though, because, you know, lots of reasons. One of which is it'd be a lot of work. And that's not really how I get down. Middle sentence, he starts wanking it. Oh, God, no. Please, no.
We are lucky enough to hear its voice. We empty our minds and let it govern our actions and our thoughts.
His long, misshapen fingers clench and unclench.
The devourer will only call us to its heart when its will is one with ours.
How do you become one with the bloom again?
Clothe ourselves with the bloom, feed from its flesh until we can hear its voice. Then we make our will one with the devourer.
You think the ninth world is an illusion?
I know it is. The people of that world try to tell you that life is not pain. They weave illusions and call them laws to protect the weak and the poor and the ugly, the malformed. But look closer and you'll see that they lie.
He spits a gob of yellow phlegm on the side of the platform.
Here in the bloom is the horror of life revealed without pretense. Becoming one with the bloom is our only hope of salvation.
Oh, God. This guy. These guys are worse than the Dendra or her. Or the Children of the Endless Gate. Congratulations, Inkpot. You qualify for worst cult in the game. What do you think of the Memavira?
When her will was one with the blooms, we revered her, but no more.
He frowns.
She is no Memavira, not anymore, not to us. Another will be found in time.
Let's talk about something else. There's a wide range of mental health medications available these days. Have you considered getting on something? Maybe an antipsychotic?
Something else?
His mouth twitches as if he's irritated to change the subject. Is it safe to drink that? Oh, I'm asking this guy? We know this guy eats and drinks all kinds of horrible shit. Is it safe? This is not the guy you want to ask. Is it safe to drink the water from that pool?
Better than safe. Those fluids are the holy secretions of the great devourer. To drink them is to put your mind in communion with the bloom.
He leans closer to you, and your eyes are drawn to the profusion of festering sores in his mouth. Nice.
And listen to its voice and know what it wants. For a time, at least.
Are you sure it's safe to drink the water from that pool?
Of course! Drink the juices of the bloom and your mind will be open to its thoughts and desires.
The Dendra her tell, in bloom, cult's faith eats you, jokes. Nice. I see what you did there. Farewell.
Praise the great devourer!
Anathema. The experiments of the Ioxu, a Vargellan researcher, have aroused the anger of some Bloom cultists. I've been asked to resolve the trouble between them. Stop Ioxu's experiments. Inkpot, the apparent leader of the Bloom cultists, claims that Ioxu's research is somehow hurting the Bloom. He asked me to stop Ioxu's measurements and investigations. Alright. Well, I guess we'll go. Alright, are we gonna mess with this pool? Oh boy, here we go.
Of course.
This pool is filled with yellowish water, quote unquote. A wide area around the pool is wet, suggesting that people have been drinking the unpleasant fluid and possibly bathing in it too. Let's look into the pool. Beneath the surface of the pool is a large reservoir of fluid. We can't see anything of interest in its depths. Let's collect some of the fluid. Find a small discarded flask at the edge of the well and fill it with the yellowish fluid. Flask of Bloom. I like how water's in quotes. Alright, this flask contains a yellowish fluid you collected from a well in the Bloom. It has a greasy texture and a faintly sour odor. When you take a sniff, you can hear the whispering voices of the Bloom in your mind. Confleur's Bloom juiced. Eerie whispers fill your mind, hinting at countless secrets to uncover, active till next sleep. That actually sounds kind of cool. What are they using as ink? You don't want to know that, Saito. You don't want to know. So I wonder if just drinking out of the pool will do the same thing to me. It'll probably hurt me or something though too, right? Alright, fuck it.
Yes, now.
We're drinking some of the fluid. Oh, we got XP. And I didn't take damage or anything. So hey. What could go wrong? Now we're fucking high on Bloom juice. We're in the spirit world, asshole. Can't see us. We're in the spirit world. You take a sip of the yellowish water. It has a greasy texture and a slightly sour taste, but it quenches your thirst. Take another sip. You start to hear whispers. They're faint at first, but they grow louder, resolving into the chittering voices of the Bloom. They buzz in your ears, scratching at the inside of your skull. You stumble, struggling to keep your balance. Even as your senses dull, the Bloom's voices seem clearer than before. You're immediately aware that the voices here sound angry. Hundreds of them hiss and shriek in murderous rage, directing their ire toward the inflamed, fleshy dwelling on this platform. So they are really mad at this Vargellan. That bug you have equipped gives you bonus to unarmed only, I think. Alright, step away. Well, it says +4 damage. Then there's a comma. Then it says damage per effort applied. There's a comma. Then it says max +8 on unarmed attacks. So does all of that apply to just unarmed attacks, or just the last bit? It does say hand-to-hand combat, but why wouldn't it apply to... Why wouldn't it apply to hitting with a dagger, though? I honestly don't know. It's hard to tell if you're even getting the benefit, basically, because I could use the Pellucid Wrap instead. I think you find out when you test it. Well, I've fought with this already on. I mean, I have so many different things adding to damage, it's really hard for me to determine if I'm getting extra damage from this or not. I guess I could try to figure it out next time I'm in a battle and actually calculate where all my damage is coming from. See, like, look at this one. The Sylph Chord. This specifically says +2 damage on esoteric attacks. So I know that's not giving her plus damage. I don't know. I'm still thinking it's giving me damage. I'll try to calculate my damage next time I get into a crisis. Alright, so I'm bloom juiced. Eerie whispers fill my mind, hinting at countless secrets to uncover. Well, shit, now that I'm bloom juiced, I feel like I need to go... I feel like I need to go back here and see if anything happens with my bloom juiciness as I explore this area real quick. To the gym. You're going to the gym?
On it.
I don't know if anything's gonna like pop
All
up.
right, Ren, you can do this.
So we fought this guy earlier, but then I reloaded, but it was really fucking cool. This guy is like a cybernetic death construct that was made to be a killing machine, and it is a killing machine. And we finally got it to fight us, and as soon as what happened is we teleported. It teleported us and it to this like extra planar arena place, and it was super fucking cool. It was really cool. See, here's another with the thing hanging down and going in there and stuff.
Yes.
Wait, what? We didn't see this before. Hold on, did we just not click on this pool before? The pool is filled with yellowish water that falls from above. The surrounding bloom flesh is wet with hand and footprints, suggesting that this is a common place for bloom dwellers to wash and drink. Perception tells us the pool extends downward like the circular shaft of a well. If it has a bottom, you can't see it from here. In the depths of the pool, your sharp eyes catch sight of a long, worm-like shape. It appears to be caught on a projection of bloom flesh, and it's wriggling helplessly about. Let's look in there again. Okay. Well, let's grab this fucking thing. By dive into the pool, I mean make Allegern dive into the pool. Allegern, this is all you, buddy. Make it a 95. Allegern plunges into the murky fluid. As Allegern dives deeper, Allegern sees that the shaft opens into a much larger cavity. At the edge of the larger space, you reach the wriggling shape you saw from above and struggle to untangle it from a bony knot of bloom flesh. Finally it slips free and you swim for the surface, reaching the top just before you run out of air. Oh, I got a thingy. A warding worm. Because when I think about warding, I think about worms. In the light of the courtyard, you see that the wriggling object is some sort of bloated worm. Its skin continually shifting from one material to another. Silvery metal to pliable synth to leathery scales to other materials that you can't identify. It seems to be drawn to your exposed flesh, and it would likely fasten itself to your arm or leg if you allowed it to do so. Cool. Nothing else of interest. Leave it alone. So I missed something here. It's possible. I came over here, I fucked around with the Anine, I talked to Skady a whole bunch. It's possible after doing that I just forgot to actually click on the pool. What did I get? Oh, it's a cipher. Okay, it gives you 6 armor and 3 resistance for the entire crisis. That's nice. That's nice. The skin of this bloated worm is continually shifting from one material to another. Silvery metal to pliable synth. Oh, we just read that. This would cause your skin to take on the same shifting properties as the worm, which will provide you with some additional protection. However, symbiotes like this creature rarely live for long, so the effect would be short-lived. Alright, who do I want to have that? Probably Alagurn. How much is that worth, out of curiosity? Not a ton, okay. Your latency is 17 seconds. Brett, how much is your latency, Sato? There in the wilds of Canada where you live.
Fine.
This is our slave, Cody. We bought him. I bought him to set him free, but he's like, I don't want to go free, blah, blah, blah. I don't know what to do. So we're like, alright, we'll find you a job. And so he's just chilling there until we find him a job.
Yes.
There's the sphincter that we came out of. The first expelled you into the bloom. Quivers and clenches in agitation. That's gross. Alright, will the whispering thing tell me anything about this? No.
Yes.
So Fred's latency is only 3 seconds longer than yours. That's pretty insignificant.
I'm going.
Really. I was hoping that maybe if I came back here, something would happen with the whispering, you know, fucking the hallucinogen that I'm under the influence of. Nothing in the Solstice. Alright, let's go. Let's go.
I'm there, in the shadows.
Alright, do I want to go in here and talk to... I do, yeah, I do. Let's go talk to this Vargellan that the cultists hate so much.
Of course.
So I'm not only juiced up, I have a bottle of the stuff. Oh. What am I doing with these scriptures? Why did he give me these? What am I supposed to do with them? I can't use them as an item. They're not a cipher. They're not a quest item. I could just sell them, maybe, for 331. Alright, there's some crazy going on over there. This looks treacherous. Alright, no. Let's go inside here and talk to this Vargellan.
All right.
Oh man, there's a lot of stuff to look at in here. Hey, he's got a construct just like hunts for prey or waits for prey or whatever his name is. Looks extremely similar anyway. He's got a cool little lab. Probably doing some evil ass science in here. Son, welcome. How's it going? Man, with Sun and Fred in here, we've got a good concentration of... Well, Denmark and Norway are both considered part of Scandinavia, right? I mean, they're both considered Scandinavian countries, or am I wrong? Inside this device is a sizable lump of bloom flesh. It lies upon a comfortable-looking cushion and appears to be asleep. A lump of bloom flesh that appears to be asleep. What? Top of this machine is covered in glass lenses of varying shapes. It appears to be some kind of monitoring device. It just looks like a fancy espresso maker. Alright, what's this? Text and symbols flash across this screen, all of it meaningless to you. This construct is equipped with innumerable monitoring devices. I can actually fuck around with that and that. I can actually talk to him. Lines swoop and whirl around this leathery sheet, depicting what appears to be a map. More text and symbols that are meaningless. It's like a broke R2-D2. Hey, S. Scheffner. How you doing? Text and symbols flash across the screen, all of it meaningless. Okay. This bucket is filled with quivering chunks of bloom flesh and organelles. Mmm. Yum. On the shelves, you see a few discarded notes and old books. A rack of test tubes sits alone and forgotten, overgrown with bloom flesh. Okay. These tanks contain floating blobs of plant or algal matter. They could serve as a basic but unpleasant food source. So, what is all this shit you're doing here, sir?
Sure.
We can talk to the construct. See, I thought Waits for Prey, if that was his name, was the last of his kind. Barbs and blades cover the surface of this hulking metal construct. Its scalloped skin looks like a suit of intricate armor, the joints able to bend in directions impossible for a human. Though the construct is immobile, something in its design sparks a frisson of involuntary dread within you, as if it were a predator regarding you. I can ask Allegorn to examine it, or I can examine it. The thing is, I'm better at lore machinery than he is, so I want to ask Allegorn anyway, just to see what he has to say. Allegorn, can you examine this construct for me? Approach something that looks like a deadly killing machine and poke around its workings while you stand a safe distance away? I don't see why not. Despite his dour words, his eyes are alight with the challenge. He steps up to the construct and begins a thorough investigation. He leans in closely, peering at every joint. He lifts the automaton's left arm. I like how we're doing all this right in front of Ioxu. We just barged into his house and we're fucking around with his shit without saying a word to him. He leans in closely, peering at every joint. He lifts the automaton's left arm and wrinkles his nose in disgust. You know how some automatons keep their brains in their torsos where the best armor is? This wasn't that kind of design, but, well, come here and look at this. He points at some barely visible scorch marks and smudges. See these burns? Someone managed to get the torso's power cell and overload it. Power surge overloaded into the autonomous nervous systems, so they lobotomized the thing. But they also fried the weapon systems. The killing blades still function, but the advanced weapons don't. He shrugs. A real shame to ruin a piece of art like that. Though considering what the construct was designed for, maybe it's for the best. Who are you? He continues to stare impassively ahead, ignoring your attempts to converse. If it weren't for the faint hum from within its chest, you would question whether it is even functioning. Why don't you speak to me? Construct remains utterly silent. Doesn't acknowledge you at all. Hello? What are you? Tell me about yourself. Hello? Okay. I wonder if I can go back and talk to Waits for Prey now and be like, hey, dude, we found another construct like you in a house over yonder. It'd be worth checking out. Okay. So what else can I touch? I can touch this, and I can touch this, and I can talk to him. Let's mess with his stuff and then talk to him. Particle effects. Oh, I don't even really notice them. I just tune them out in my mind, basically. It is obnoxious, though, and stupid. Because what that is, it's my inspired effect. Wait, so the concept is this. My leadership and ability to keep calm in danger is contagious. Your friends and allies can count on you to guide them to victory. That's it. My leadership and ability to keep calm is somehow making everybody glow with a weird fucking magical yellow glow, and it also makes that horrible fucking sound until I change maps. Why? Why is there a weird yellow glow involved with the fact that I'm leading people? It seems really unnecessary to me. There is not an option to turn them off, no. Well, I don't know. Pretty sure there's not. I don't remember seeing anything like that. Can you use dynamic cloth or not? No. There is nothing like that. I could turn off the tide feedback so that it doesn't tell me when my tides change, but I like having the feedback. No way to hide. I could show selection circles like in the Infinity Engine games. Okay. Side effect of leadership. Yeah. But why? Why does good leadership keep people to glow like that? Including myself. I'm leading myself. I personally don't think there should even be weird glowy effects around people for most things in most RPGs, unless there's a really good reason why that particular effect would absolutely have a visible effect. You know? Like if it's a shield of living flames around you or something, okay, sure, you're gonna see the shield of living flames around you. But if it's just like a buff to your strength or your defense or something, that could just bless you with the power and not have any visible effect. You know what I mean? Alright, we're gonna click on this thing now. What a dick move this would be. Literally walk into this guy's house, not say a word to him, and just destroy his device. It's a smashing idea. Sounds are worse, though? Yeah, I agree, Fred. An odd device sits in the middle of the room. It almost looks like a capsule of some sort, but it is covered with ducts and ports and vents, and a strange blue light emanates from it. Cables run from its base throughout the room, attached to various devices. It vibrates with a mild, occasionally stuttering pulse, and when it falters, the field that protects the interior of the shanty briefly fades. Examine. 100% because I'm intellectual god. I get 5% from my Numenera analyzer, 5% because I've inspired myself. 5% hard-earned knowledge, I think that's a buff that I'm getting from Alagurn. 5% from my cloak. Somehow my cloak helps me analyze this. We're trained in machinery lore and 1 automatic level of... So actually, even if this base difficulty was way higher, I'd still have 100% because I can have, what, like 3 or 4 automatic levels of effort on any intellect task. I'm pretty much at this point, with the way my character's built, I'm pretty much going to have a 100% chance to do virtually any intellect-based task. And 90% of the tasks in the game are intellect-based tasks, so... And if it's speed-based, I can have Makina do it, and she's godlike at that. And if it's might-based, I can have him do it, and he's really, really good at that. So there shouldn't be any task that we have a problem with at this point. Alright, here we go. You like aura effects, S. Scheffner? Okay. Well, yeah, I'm sure some people do. And some people don't. It's a tasting. It would be good if in these games they just gave you the option to turn them on or off. So that way if you like them, you can have them on. And it could default to on, you know, and just have the option to turn them off if you found them too distracting or whatever. Oh, that's what you mean when you say it worked for Link. Oh, hello there, lad. What are you? Oh, you're destroying all my pottery and taking this stuff from inside of it. All right, then. Well, again, that comes back to the typical RPG thing. How many RPGs have we played where you can just walk into people's houses whenever you get to a town and just start taking their shit, and they don't say a word about it? A lot of RPGs are like that. I mean, that's a trope at this point. It's silly, of course. I've always thought about how I would design an RPG if I was going to make one. Of course, I don't know anything about how to program or actually make a game, so at that point I'll never really be making an RPG. But I always thought, if I made an RPG, I would make it so that everything that is mechanically a certain way based on the gameplay all makes sense in-world, in-lore. So if there's containers around with loot in them, I'm going to have an in-world, in-game explanation of why you can take those things, or I'm not going to have them at all. That's how I would prefer to have things. I want it all to make sense within the game world and be explained, you know. Helps a lot of players remember that the spell is active. That's a good point, Scheffner. That is a good point. I didn't think of that. The machine encapsulates a piece of bloom flesh, which is wired with various leads. It appears the core is a counter-stimulus device to drive the bloom back. Resonances and frequencies use the flesh of the great predator against itself, creating a kind of energy field that repels the bloom and keeps it from entering this chamber. Oh, I see. That's why the bloom is so pissed, and why everything's all red and inflamed outside. But the constant pressure from the bloom's hunger is driving the machine toward irrevocable, irreversible breakdown. You do not think you can repair it. Alright. We might shut the device down, but we're not going to do that until after we've talked to him, at least. And let's fuck around with this desk over here.
Ready.
Excuse me, could you get out of the way so I could root through your stuff? Thanks. I guess I'll do it from here with my fucking telekinesis that I don't have. Papers lie scattered haphazardly across this desk. Small knowledge cubes gleam. Finger-sized implements cast processions of glowing glyphs. And other media lie scattered throughout the mess. He's got some anime DVDs and shit. Knowledge cubes sound cool. That sounds like something from Star Wars. It's a Datacron. Anybody ever play Star Wars, The Old Republic, the MMO by BioWare, and gone searching for all the, like, I think they're called Datacrons, or Holocrons or something? The little cubes that are hidden all around in the different worlds? Yep. I did that. I found all of them. All of them. Took a long time. Uh-oh, we got a link here from Fred Come to Bed that I gotta check out. Subtle! Oh, yeah. Yeah, basically you can't even tell there's an aura there at all. Basically can't even tell. That's where he keeps his special edition copy of Tokyo Gore Police. Alright, let's examine the notes and recording devices. As you reach out to examine the objects on the desk, the Varjellan barks. Think of how I'm gonna do his voice. Varjellans, I always try to make their voice sound really weird, because they're weird alien salamander dudes or whatever the fuck they are. But I don't want all the Varjellans to sound exactly alike.
Careful! Much time has been invested in this work, and I recall where I placed each bit of data. Replace where you found each item.
So he doesn't mind me looking through his shit. He just wants to make sure I don't screw up his organizational scheme. It's on download. You're downloading Tokyo Gore Police right now, Fred? Continue to examine the contents of the desk. As you shuffle through the Varjellan's notes, on paper, scribbled on dried bloom flesh, dictated into talking data cubes, and recorded in more exotic storage devices, you realize the sheer volume of information he has collected. It is a trove of arcane and technical observations of the bloom, loosely organized into a number of categories. Behavior, self, others. Communication, self, others. Influences, influenced by. Maws, how to open, how to close, how to divert. History, unrecorded, recorded. Observations, conclusions. This guy is trying to do the comprehensive study of the bloom. Varjellans are related to Admiral Akbar? Yeah, basically. You guys want to see a weird-ass movie? Look up a movie called The Holy Mountain. I think it's called The Holy Mountain. Is that the name of it? Hold on. Is it called The Holy Mountain? Because it's weird as fuck, if this is the movie I'm thinking of. Yeah, 1973. A Mexican surreal fantasy film. Yeah, watch that. That's a weird fucking movie. Alright. You will never be the same after seeing a man kill an entire police station with his biomechanical penis cannon. Okay, that sounds pretty good. Hold on. I need to start the download myself. That's the movie I've been waiting on my whole life. Every data point leads to a reference in another document. Some of those links are simply notes guessing where this data is located, based on the Varjellan's recollection. If you knew where to start analyzing his enormous collection of knowledge, you might be able to get somewhere, but the volume of information is simply staggering. A team of Aeon Priests couldn't process this much data in a year. For a lone scholar, it would likely take 10 years or more. The Varjellan has stopped glancing over as you shuffle through his notes. Instead, he is staring at you, waiting and watching. It becomes difficult to concentrate on that steady gaze, under that steady gaze, so you put the notes down and step away from the table. Alright, you know what? Let's just kill this guy. Quest complete. Listen, buddy. I'll hear you out and listen to your side of it and all that, but I need you to understand an important thing. I have a quest. Do you understand, Ioxu? I have a quest. So that means you are in dangerous territory right now. You are hanging on by a thread to the last moments of your life because I have a quest. And that justifies anything I might do. Alright. Let's talk to Ioxu. I gotta try to do a weird-ass voice for him. The Varjellan looks much like others of its kind. Violet-red skin, yellow eyes, a tall crest atop its head. This one appears to have chosen a male form for now. Oh, I forgot. That's right. Varjellans can change their gender at will. He, wears thin lenses over his eyes, and some strange device encircles his head. It's an iron stone, with weighted attachments dangling at the ends of long straps. His calloused, pointed fingertips are stained, and his garments are unkempt and in disarray. Typical scientist. Saito's going to object to that. Only an alternative objective can possibly save Ioxia. Exactly, Saito. If you can give me another way to complete this and get my XP without fucking up your lab or your physical body, you know, then we can talk about it. He looks impatiently at you as you interrupt his work, his eyes snapping between you and the door. His crest inflates with irritation.
The interruptions continue. What would you have of Ioxia?
Why do you keep looking at the door? He sighs.
Apologies from me. The noise and constant interruption from those outside are inconducive to proper behavior. They have been escalating their discussions towards violence.
Right. You object to that? I'll have you know all the salamander men who work in labs are actually quite well groomed. Fair enough. You probably have salamander men working in labs in Canada. Wouldn't even surprise me. Fucking Canada. Although, the preferred nomenclature is salamander persons. You can't just assume their temporary current gender. Escalating their discussions toward violence.
I'll remember that.
The experiments conducted within this chamber are perhaps unlikely to gain the favor of the Bloom. Indeed, the great beast has evinced some displeasure. Its pathetic worshippers who gather here to mock have begun seeking ways to stop me, an effort to appease their deity.
Gives you a hopeful look.
I would reward anyone who can drive them off.
Oh, it looks like I've got two choices here. Although, from my experience in this game, most quests have at least two ways to solve them, if not 3 or 4. So there's probably another path besides just siding with the cultists or just siding with him. He glances behind you for the first time and recoils visibly on seeing Matkina.
Fun! Can it be? Stories have circulated. They said you were dead. That the Numenera had found you at last.
She smiles grimly. Not yet. I'm surprised to see you're still alive, Ioxia. I wouldn't have wagered on it. So she knows him. The Varjellan bows.
The White Death honors me. Stories of your prowess continue. In the meantime, I abide.
Like the dude.
Gathering and learning, even in the face of the protesters outside.
I like how everybody treats Matkina like she's a total badass. And what I even like more about that is the fact that in the actual game mechanics, she's a total badass. She's the toughest member of our entire party, and she always has been. It fits with the fact that in the story she's supposed to be a total badass, and then you get her into combat and she really is a total badass. That's good, because in a lot of games they don't do that. A lot of games you'll get an NPC or something and their whole story will be about how fucking awesome they are, and then you get them in your party and they have 8 hit points and fucking +1 to hit, and they suck compared to your main character. And you're like, why are all these stories about how awesome you are? Because you're actually just a scrub. That's usually how it works in these games. Alright. He shrugs.
But knowledge has always had its detractors. They will do what they must. As long as my work lives on, I care not.
He turns his head from side to side, seeing you, with both his eyes. Oh, his eyes are on the sides of the head.
What would you have of me?
Well, I guess we're gonna ask him some questions. But I should probably save that for our next episode. Since this conversation is going to... I'm at 50 minutes right now. This conversation is going to take significantly longer than 10 minutes, I think. Well, it might not. Let's just go. If this episode goes a little bit over, that's fine. What sort of work do you do here?
Look, smell, taste, measure, understand.
Though his voice is flat, you can see the pleasure in his face.
Apprehension is the key to knowledge. The bloom is a creature unlike any other, yet who has taken the time to study its nature. The first is Ioxu. The work done here will illuminate the bloom for those who follow.
Alright. I can get with that. I can get with that.
For decades I have been here. Physical structure, biological needs, behavior, mental construction, known history of the beast, history of its inhabitants. All these things have I gathered. Where does it originate? I believe a twin star holds the answer, a place of howling winds and immense gravity. Fear tells me that this creature is not yet mature, that the years will see its size increase.
IXU survival odds plus 20%. Oh, he's a merchant? He might be a merchant, yeah. Sometimes when you ask somebody, do you have anything to sell me, they just say no. So he might actually not be a merchant, but we'll see.
Reality bends around the bloom. Its waves twist and turn. But even where stability is assumed, the bloom's presence resists understanding. It resists mapping. This is the importance of my work, to make secrets known so that all may benefit.
Alright, all may benefit. I'm down with that. I'm down with that. Tell me again about your work.
The bloom is a question. I his answers as I seek.
What is that device in the middle of the room?
The bloom detests those who seek to understand it on a rational level. For some time now it has sought my destruction, to erase all accomplished here. The device generates a multi-spectrum field that propels the bloom's advances.
Iaxu's lip curls.
But this means only that it waits for me without. Had other devices not been available to create food and drink, I should have perished here.
Okay, so he can't leave. He's basically stuck in here. And his device is falling apart, so he's doomed anyway, right? Tell me about that device in the center of the room again.
The bloom desires to devour me. Protection is necessary.
I know this voice is horrible, right, Fred? Basically, I'm doing a normal voice where I just try to sound like some sort of weirdo, and I'm fucking moving my tongue around randomly in my mouth, trying to, while also still saying the words. It's not good. It's not good. Tell me about that construct in the corner.
Many years ago, it came to my door. It vowed service to me as if its memories and personality could be erased. I did not ask why.
Oh! We could do... This is for... What's his name? Homeboy. Waits for prey. He wants his personality and memories to be erased or whatever. He wants to be reborn and not to have all the memories of the horrible shit that he's done. We could go back to him and say, yo, Ioxu can fix your shit.
I did not ask why, just as I would hope to have my own reasons respected.
He rubs his eyes.
It now serves to protect me against those who would do me harm. Most specifically, the Murdens and the cultists.
Tell me about the construct again.
Its memories, its personality, were the price of its service. I obliged and wiped its core. Now it protects my body and my knowledge.
Do you have anything you'd be willing to sell me? He looks around at his cluttered desk.
I do not anticipate the need for these devices any longer. Perhaps they can serve you.
Nope. We're not looking at this right now. We're saving the store for later. For next episode. Because that's going to involve a lot of item description reading, which we don't have time for at the moment. What do you think would make the Bloom cultists leave you alone? Sounds like Bane from Batman talking underwater. Well, see, underwater is kind of the effect I'm trying to go for. I'm trying to put in sort of underwaterness to it. So if that's what it sounds like, then I guess I'm succeeding. What do you think would make the Bloom cultists leave you alone?
Defeating them with his reasoned arguments would be difficult.
The Vargellan appears to consider.
I present no danger to them. Not like you. A threat of force might persuade them. But I believe they tell the truth about enjoying the Bloom's favor. To oppose them is to draw its ardor.
Alright, do I want him to stop experimenting on the Bloom? Not really. I think he's got a good point. He's learning secrets and information that will be helpful to people. And I don't consider anything about this to be like unethical science. I mean, sure, if you want to consider the Bloom's feelings, then sure, it's unethical. I guess he's experimenting on a sentient thing without that thing's permission. In fact, against that thing's very clearly expressed will. But if we're looking at the Bloom as this horrifying monster, inimical? Yeah, that's a word. Inimical to human life, then, you know, at that point, fuck it, right? I mean, it's a monster. Are we looking at the Bloom as a sentient being whose rights should be respected, or was we just looking at it like a crazy-ass, nasty, horrible death monster? Because if we're just looking at it as a monster, then go nuts, experiment on it all you want. If we're looking at it as, you know, a person of sorts, then he should stop. I'm thinking we're looking at it as a horrible death monster, not as a person. At that point, I say he should just be able to experiment on it. Fuck the Bloom, basically. Is it unethical of an ant to experiment on a human? Well, depends. What effect are those experiments having on the human? If the answer is none, they have no effect on the human, then there wouldn't be any ethics situation there. But if they were causing the human to suffer in some way, then yeah, it would be unethical. Unless the human volunteered. That's how I see it. Alright. I'm not going to say you should stop experimenting on the Bloom. Yeah, well. So, in our next episode, we will talk to him and we will explore his store and see what items he's got. But that is going to do it for this one. So thank you for watching. This has been Josiah Plays Torment, Tides of Numenera.